How are you?
Doing good. I didn't realize how geared up I am.
Yeah, like your glasses got foggy.
I know. Well, that's super hot, man. I took a sip of this. I'd like burn my face off.
Ooh.
Look at all this dolphin stuff I got on though, man.
Are you? Is there?
I'm like a walking logo here.
Did you?
This is a little over the top geared up here, right here. This is a little.
Well, you got a hat. Well, I have a dolphin hat.
You do. You got a dolphin hat
on too.
Look, watch this. Watch this. Go on. I mean, this is like a cauldron of tea.
A cauldron?
A boiling cauldron of tea. Which reminds me,
cauldron.
A cauldron.
A cauldron.
Look what I got on Amazon the other day.
Oh, what did he get on Amazon?
Did the old
That's what I'm saying.
click
Yeah.
again.
Oh
you know?
man,
The old click,
this
click,
guy.
click, click, click,
This guy.
Here, look at this.
Whoa!
Look at that.
What is this? This looks.
That's a hefty. Ooh. That's a hefty volume, isn't it? A hefty volume.
Man, this is awesome.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Isn't that beautiful?
Oh man.
Yeah.
This brings back memories when I was a kid.
Lots of memories.
Living in the basement.
So show the folks at home. Show us what we're looking at here.
Ooh. All right.
What is that? What does that say there?
I believe this says the Art and Arcana, a visual history.
Art and Arcanum? Is that Arcanum, Ohio?
Yeah. Right. Arcana, Ohio. I'm going to just sneak a peek. Whoa. We're going to pull this guy up here. Oh, it's so heavy. Do you see that?
Yes.
That's super neat.
So, got a question for you here, Sean.
Okay.
Got a question for you.
All right. Lay it on me, brother.
What's your exposure to Dungeons and Dragons like? So, like, tell me about your Dungeons and Dragons, experience, or you dabble, you dive into it. Like, what's your experience with Dungeons and Dragons?
Well, as a young lad,
yeah, I almost can hear the Hobbit music in the background.
Right. When I lived in the house with a round door,
you're sitting on the Shire there.
Right.
No, you're sitting by the tree like this. You know what I mean, with the pipe, right? And you're like, Gandalf.
And his whiz bangs, right?
Gandalf.
And like running after him.
When I was a wee lad.
When I was a wee lad.
And a wee lad in the potato field.
When I was hanging out, exposing my hairy feet to the world.
Take it easy. The family show.
Woo!
Although I don't doubt that you have hairy feet.
Oh, it's like a mini tree.
Oh.
Yeah, I had to have special socks to really compress there.
Oh, yeah. You don't go see what are the ladies that do the nails? You go see a lumberjack.
Right.
Chops down the.
But like a microcosm, like a small level. Gets out there. It's got like a little grinder.
Girl. Oh yeah, like Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
That's gross. So tell me about your Dungeons and Dragons experience from when you were a wee lad.
A wee lad. Well, when I was a wee lad, and I was, had friends. Luckily,
back in the day when I had them.
Right.
Not anymore. It's not like being a grizzled old. What are you?
I'm not
an adult. Grizzled old adult. We don't have friends anymore.
Grizzled old adult.
That's true. Look at the gray in the beard. I'm almost like Gandalf here.
You should have a pointed hat. It'd be kind of neat.
Yeah, I'm there, man. I'll do it. I was never the magic user playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh.
I really wasn't.
I was
always the tank. That's what I always wanted to be.
Yeah.
Whenever I approached a new campaign, I'm like, gosh.
Yeah.
I want to be a barbarian. I don't know, something about my makeup. You know what I mean? I always wanted to be the paladin or the paladin or paladin.
Paladin.
Paladin. Paladin.
Paladin was the anti. You say anti.
No, paladin.
Paladin.
I always wanted to be the fighter, the barbarian. I wanted to be the ranger.
Ranger is great class.
I like being, for some reason I just never ended up being the magic user. Sometimes cleric, I guess, but I don't know. I guess my friend. So when I played, all right, we'll talk about when you played here in a second. But when I played, my buddy Tom Smith was usually the magic user. He
had like in lockdown.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he was the one with all the books.
Well,
that's where I learned about Dungeons and Dragons. So I really didn't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons until I met my friend Tom Smith across the street when I was a young lad.
And he had older brothers,
and his older brother, I think Steve, was into Dungeons and Dragons, and he's the one that took us through our first campaign, if I remember correctly. So that's where I actually learned about Dungeons. I didn't even know what it was. He's like, "Hey, you want to play a game?" And I always like games. I'm like, "Yeah, sure, let's try it." And it was Dungeons and Dragons, and man, we got absorbed. I'd say for a good couple years. You know,
Yeah.
my whole, like
Oh,
summers.
Yeah.
Like
I would agree with-
hours.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And we
Yeah.
played down in Tom's basement, and it'd either be me and Tom and
That sounds like
kid
it.
up the street, or me and my buddy Joe and Tom, and one of his brothers, and we'd go. I mean, Jiminy Crickets. We could start in the morning and go till you look around, you turn the clock, you eat some pizza and some root beer, and you're
Yeah.
like,
what? It's like
it's
midnight?
2 in the morning,
Yeah.
you
what?
know, I gotta get home. And for various reasons, my family dynamic, like I could go home at midnight. When like I could sneak into the house. You know
Yeah.
what I mean, and they knew I wasn't doing anything too crazy, so I think that they just kind of let it fly in the summertime. You know what I mean? But yeah. So tell me about your Dungeons and Dragons. Like, how were you exposed to it? And
Well,
what did you do there?
As grown up, I remember my brother first bought the original.
Oh, your brother.
Yeah, my brother bought a book.
Oh, nice.
He got actually the one with the cover here has that, and then I remember reading the entirety of the book
Yeah.
and not really understanding anything, but
But you kept going.
Right.
Like I did the
Right.
same thing. As soon as you got one of those books in your hands, you're
yeah,
like,
oh
I mean, it took something that you had some interest in. At least this was for me. Like, it took something that you had some interest in. That Tolkien world or whatever
Yeah.
it was. And you're like, wow, this like brings it into such a detailed level.
yes,
I just want to like know
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
know more and more and more. And once you got through whatever book you're looking at, the player's handbook or whatever, and then you start looking at the monster manual or
Dungeon Master's
Guide, you're just like, you keep going and
Yeah.
going and going. It's like, and I don't even know to this day if we played it completely right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I agree with you. I think everybody kind of had house rules.
Yeah.
I mean, I really started to play. A guy named Jay Perkins was across the street,
Okay.
and he would kind of open up his garage. He was an older guy, and like myself, Mike Cornet, oh my gosh, Chris Smith. We would all sit down and we'd play, and like, where did the time go? Like, next thing I know, we're like,
Yeah.
oh my god. And my house was usually the crash pad, so. And eventually we got our own books. We got our, Unearthed Arcana, Player's Handbook.
Oh yeah.
The Eastern, I think it was Japanese Adventures or Eastern Adventures.
Yep.
And then we did,
If I remember that.
we played all the time. And
Just real quick. So let's go back in time. Mid 80s, whatever.
Yeah.
Late 80s,
Yeah.
whatever that time period is.
yeah,
What's you're in the garage, you're getting a campaign set up.
Right.
You get your character. I mean, dude, making a character could take an hour.
it could. And it was always, that
It
was
could take
just
an
such
hour
a,
just to
yeah.
like roll for
Yes.
whatever,
Yeah.
and then
Oh, I want double
you
18.
You want a fighter and you
Yeah.
roll the you know what I mean? We used to roll statistics individually.
Yep.
And whatever
We did
you
too.
got, man. You could like maybe figure something out there, but it was like it could be tough streets.
Yeah.
But so I guess my question to you was, all right, so set up the scene. You guys you're getting a campaign together. You're in the garage. What's the snack situation and what's the snack situation?
Well, a guarantee was normally a bag of either Cool Ranch Doritos
Cool Ranch
or
Doritos.
nacho.
Yeah, sure.
So it was like that and like a 2-liter, right?
Oh,
and everybody had their own, like you had your own pile, right? Like next to
No,
you.
you did. You ended up. That's the truth too. I would imagine that's probably when we've been talking about starting a campaign. It's probably gonna be the truth then too. Is like you all end up with like a pile of
Right. You have your own. It's
snack
my
piles.
snack, man. It's
yeah,
mine.
Yeah, I know. Like you have your own little area.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah, everybody's got like their own 2-liter.
Right. Yeah.
So, for me, in Tom's basement, he had 2 much older brothers, and one of them actually played collegiate football. Played for Canisius College.
Oh wow.
And then
This is
ended
what
up,
up.
upstate New York.
Okay, yeah.
and then ended up. He may or may not have gotten a year or 2 out of Notre Dame. I can't remember what. his
Oh, wow.
situation was. Yeah. But anyways, so the reason why I say that is because their situation with their fridge was just. I mean, you want to talk about a treasure trove of snacks, because they had like these kids were like they were big kids, you know what I mean?
Keep them fed.
Keep them fed. You open up the fridge and it's like you open up with that glowing light like you see in Pulp Fiction when they open up the fridge. It's like and so I mean, man, we'd be crushing everything from Stouffer's French bread pizzas to any like whole 2 liter two things of we make Kool-Aid, you know what I mean?
Great
get the little
flavor.
pack out.
Oh yeah.
There was an off brand or maybe like a different brand of Kool-Aid that we had in upstate too called Weiler's.
Yep.
We had Weiler's.
We had that, yeah.
We'd make this in vats. And we go down
big cup.
And we'd have like, pretzel. You remember the pretzel rods?
Yeah.
Pretzel rods.
Yeah.
We
remember dipping those. We dipped those in root beer.
Wow, did you?
Yes, we did. Because we were dumb.
We may or may not have dipped those in some peanut butter.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, I just remember that snack situation just being like off the chain. We'd get up and we'd be hungry, so we'd have like 2 or 3 hot dogs each.
Easy, yeah.
Just terrible food for you. But dude, that's D&D for you.
Yeah.
That's D&D food. That's that lifestyle. So anyway, you go in, you're drawn in by these books, right?
Right. The pictures,
the artwork.
Yes.
And then of course, you've got the gameplay is based around your imagination, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you've got a general framework laid out by the DM. Tom would almost always be our DM, or his brother would be our DM. We did everything on graph paper.
Yes.
We didn't have any minis. In fact, I don't really remember playing with minis outside of
rarity, man.
Real rare, or
like somebody
or setting up like we would literally use little toys or bottle caps or whatever we could find. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To set up the little scenarios. And maybe my memory's failing me, but I just don't remember really using miniatures. It was all imagination based, for the most part. I mean, we'd figure something out there.
Yeah.
We just either didn't have any money for our miniatures, or we just didn't,
you spent most of the money on the books because the books were expensive.
The books were expensive, man. So I don't even remember what version that would be, where it would be, mid to late 80s.
I think it was second edition.
See, I don't think I played first edition until just like a year or so ago. We went to Gen Con. I got to actually play some first edition.
It's different.
It was different. It was different. It took a little bit of learning to do. So one of the things and what attracted me to this book is I have fond memories of the artwork of Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact, before I kind of came back to the game world and was kind of designing games on my own, I went to a Comic-Con, took my daughter to a Comic-Con, and I was walking through this Comic-Con, and I had one of those like moments where you see something from your childhood, right?
Yeah.
And it like strikes you like a bolt.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah.
And Larry Elmore had a booth at this Comic-Con.
So neat.
And I was walking up, and he had a painting. A large-scale painting, and I don't know, I doubt it was the original, but it could have just been a reproduction or whatever, but it was one of the covers of one of the Dragonlance books. I want to say it was the Spring Dragons of the
Spring Dawning?
Spring Dawning, I think it was. I want to say it was that one, but it was huge. I mean, it was a nice, beautiful painting.
Yeah.
And I just, it had left my mind. Dragonlance had left my mind.
Oh, yeah.
I've been busy, whatever, raising a family or, doing the 9 to 5, the 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And so I walked past this, and my eyes just like, I had this moment. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is unbelievable. So I walked up, and he was there, and I was just in shock. And he got to go through his portfolio. He was there at this Comic-Con, kind of selling prints, and man, unbelievable stuff. And I think a lot of times people get, when you're talking about art, obviously it's an eye beholder. That's where that statement comes from. But because of the subject matter, people, I think, overlook it. You know what I mean? Because it's fantasy.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it's
So,
true.
so like people like, obviously, there's a huge market for Dungeons and Dragons. You know what I mean? Huge. It's been proven, especially this past year.
Yeah.
But I think in like the general public's eyes, you know what I mean? Like, it's a painting of a dragon.
Right. It's downplayed because it's not a fine artwork.
Yeah.
Or it's not like some relevant.
But to my
contemporary
mind,
piece.
it is. You know what I mean? And to my mind, it is extraordinarily relevant. And we have these myths and legends for a reason.
Yep.
And these guys are able to tap into that. And because some snooty person in the city doesn't, whatever, you know
Some
what I
art
mean?
critic, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, we live with that in our whatever. When we like the things that we like. You
Right.
like the things that you like. That's fine. So, and it's not to downplay any type of artwork. Somebody might have a huge appreciation for like some type of modern art that is some splotches of paint on a and that has value too. I'm not downplaying that too. I enjoy modern art as well.
From a distance.
Well, from different, because it might challenge you, but this I truly love, and so I saw this, because we've been having these discussions about Dungeons and Dragons here at the office. I'm like, dude, I know Sean will dig this,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And, it goes to some of the roots of what we really love. Some of these fantastic art pictures. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then we talked about this too. Like when you go to like the original Dungeons and Dragon book, like some of that artwork is not.
Oh, up to par?
Yeah.
No.
But it still has its value.
Yeah, it captures your interest.
Yeah. Some of it's just sketches.
Yeah.
Well,
black and white, almost Xerox copies.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. I can remember looking at the Monster's Handbook.
Yeah.
Or Monster Manual.
Monster Manual.
Monster Manual. And I can remember looking through there, and then some of the creatures were really basic. Like the drawings were really basic, and then with as you look at a Monster Manual today, it is like almost looking like at a video game.
Yeah.
The colors and everything is so vibrant. But one thing I loved about the artwork was when the artwork showed these impossible situations where there was like this person's being so brave, so courageous, standing up against this monster or whatever. That's the stuff that always it inspired me.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe we could highlight just a couple of like the pictures that really makes us think about and the artists themselves. The front cover being one of them, right?
Oh,
so
yes.
That's Larry Elmore, correct?
Yes.
And that's the basic box set cover.
That's that was the original box set cover.
Yeah. They're just an amazing, and I think the thing that's really amazing about the shot that you can actually see on camera is the positioning of the fighter in the front there, or the barbarian or whatever. And he's fully lunging at this dragon, and there's something about Larry Elmore's style or work. It's not hyper realistic, but it's like very colorful, and the subject matter that he paints almost has, it's almost like a line between realism and comic book,
right? That
I think he hits.
Yeah.
Because if you look like at the covers of his Dungeons or Dragonlance, they're not hyper realistic.
No, he's not like Donato. Donato is hyper realistic.
Yeah, he's like trying to getting at an essence, you know what I mean, and giving him a more fantastic kind of comic book style, but not too comic-y. You know what I mean? There's, you can still kind of see it, but his usage of color is just unbelievable. Especially, you remember the blue cover of the dragons of.
Oh, there was
the winter one.
Yeah, the winter night.
Yeah, winter night. I just love that. The blue usage on that is fantastic. But I don't know if you wanted to maybe point out one or two in that book, you know, that we could open up, you know, just a couple of little quick points.
Yeah.
Oh, right there. You yeah. Straight up to one too,
like
man.
This guy. This was one of the pages that I used to love to stare at because I just loved the idea of this guy sitting behind the desk and working on spell components or whatever he was doing. I really enjoyed it.
And the thing about his face too is like he's got this look on his face is like either he had just done something or he's just found something that he probably shouldn't have or something along those lines. I also remember hearing that some of the original artwork that was done originally for Dungeons and Dragons, I think was done. Some of it was like done by high school students, where they were, where they developed Dungeons and Dragons, where Gygax was and whatnot.
Yeah.
So they really, you know, started from a level and went to just an unbelievable place to where they are now. You know. Well, lots of fond memories, that's for sure.
And I think one thing about when you look at like these are like when you look at a lot of these guys they have comic book versions, they have almost oil painting or pastel work like this work by Easily.
Oh yeah,
which is just where things look a little bit off, where the elf is not necessarily drawn as proportions are correctly in the face, but his style is what really captures your imagination.
Yeah.
I think that's what really, when you look at the book and you see the book and you're looking at any book, Monster Manual, Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master's Guide, the picture really draws you in and helps spark that element to the story. So if you're the DM and you're working your way through the campaign with your players, and you offer an element of a kobold, bugbear, beholder, ooze, or gelatinous cube, it's like it's so ingrained that they can see it and it just takes off.
Yeah, absolutely. I dig this format that they gave this out in because, you know, it gives a nice breakdown of not only like some of the early stuff, but of some of the later stuff, and it shows the progression of the artwork, and it highlights a lot of the most famous artists, you know, with Dungeons and Dragons. But it really brings me back, you know, and that's the fantastic thing about Dungeons and Dragons. So, can you tell me about, at least give me like, you know, we're running out a little bit of time, but like one of your more favorite campaigns that you did?
I would tell you about the worst artifact I ever found.
Yeah.
Oh.
Worst artifact.
We're in this dungeon, right? We have fought the big baddie, right? And we're going through, and everybody's, at the time, our DM was like, he had like this little random chart, right? But he would set aside certain things that were designed per the characters.
Yeah.
A little sense of humor, a little bit of personalization. So I was playing a dwarf. His name was Misanthor because he was very friendly with people. And very grumpy, angry, smelly, really refused to bathe. That kind of, I mean, just, you know, just really trying to really make him very polite and happy to be around. So I find this girdle, and I'm like, yeah, you know, this girdle sounds great. And so, of course, I put it on because I'm dumb. And girdle of femininity. I become a very ugly, smelly dwarf woman. That is, of course, it's cursed, right? So I have to wear this forever.
Wow.
And not that I don't have a problem like playing necessarily a woman character, but
it's just kind of like an unexpected change.
Yeah.
You know, that you had to kind of play through.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a character that was beloved to me, and I think the DM I was playing with at the time had thought I was playing two characters. Right? I had one character that was kind of like a recluse kind of character. I can't remember if he was a thief or whatever, but he was, you know, kind of, and I really enjoyed playing that character. You know what I mean? Felt like I could do whatever I want to. The other character was more powerful, and I kind of felt like I had to protect him all the time. A little
Yeah.
bit. Does that make sense?
Well, it's tough doing two. It's tough.
Yeah. And so I think he thought because I was protecting this character that I liked that character more, but I didn't. You know?
Okay.
So he set a special trap for the other character,
Yeah.
and the other character ended up meeting an untimely demise because I tried to pull a specific maneuver. But I remember being I was flat out bummed out
Yeah.
for like a weekend that I lost that character.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was a blue dragon, I think, that I lost him to.
Yeah.
And he was trying to sneak past doing something, and I got hit by a bolt. And it was just fried to nothingness because he wasn't powerful enough to handle anything. And I was just bummed out for just, I think, like a full weekend. I was like, dang, I loved that character, and I loved play. And then he's like, well, you still got, whatever the barbarian was, and I'm like, yeah, but
that's not what I want.
that's not what I want,
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's funny that you can bring out those kinds of emotions playing a role-playing game, but you certainly can.
It's a story. It's your character. You're involving it into the story, and you become a little emotionally attached.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, when I DM'd, I'd always tell people, listen, I don't kill your character just for that reason. I never did that, but I would tell people, look, if your character does something happens to him, and then he's out of this story, you can always bring him back into another campaign.
Yeah, we didn't play that way. He was dead.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of guys.
dead.
Yeah, like once your god steps on him, he's done.
He's to exist. Yeah. I also like the thought of like you can pretty much do anything. Like, you can be anybody.
Be anything, do
anything. There's no real limitations.
Make your saving throws.
Other than the limitations of your imagination. So it was kind of like before. Obviously, it was pre-internet. You can act like or do anything that you want to, basically in D&D, just as long as it's within the confines of that framework. And that's the great part. But highly suggest Art and Arcana.
Great book.
Woo! From our friends Wizards of the Coast, right?
Yes, Wizards of the Coast.
Also Hasbro.
Little conglomerate together there, definitely.
Tiny company. But absolutely two
thumbs up. Two thumbs up.
Two big thumbs up. So thanks, guys. That's Dungeons & Dragons, Art and Arcana. We'll probably do some more of these two down the road. If you like. So we'll probably do it.
Yes, I love them. We like. All right, see you guys later.